Hello everyone, currently I'm working on a game project and I would like to share the progress with you. Right now the game is in a very early stage and I thought it might be interesting to see how a game evolves right from the beginning. I started with Unity just about a month ago, but I learned so much already and I didn't know anything about it before. So via YouTube I taught myself how to use the Unity game engine and how to script in C#. So the game I'm currently working on is supposed to be like a platform jump and run side-scroller in which you play an old professor discovering ancient tombs and pyramids in Egypt. The game takes place around 1850 when a lot of tombs have still been undiscovered. The first thing I started off with has been the player movement. For the collision detection I used a mix of Unity's rigid body component and raycasting to check if the player is grounded. For now I'm just using this tic-tac-like capsule as my player. I added a double jump as well. Of course the player movement for this project is limited to the X and Y axes, that's why jumping is so important. Speaking of jumping, I added areas where you can wall jump, which is pretty cool. Oh, and I programmed a smooth camera follow. I also added ropes that you can climb up and moving platforms that move along a given path defined by an array of vectors. What happens here is that the player actually gets a continuous velocity that equals the velocity of the moving platform while standing on it, so he doesn't fall off. The next thing I did was a bit more complicated. I programmed trigger objects. If you are in a certain range of a trigger object, you can hit a button or pull a lever. Each trigger has an array of objects to trigger, on which is then called a special overridable function. So for example, you can pull down a rope by trigger or make a platform stop or continue moving. For instance, I made this nice elevator, where the trigger triggering the platform sits right on top of the moving platform and moves with it. Also, triggers could be used later in the game to unlock hidden doors or to trigger traps or to build a bridge or simply anything. I could think of so many logical puzzles that could be built by using triggers. I then added stats to the player, like health for example, and I made those spikes that deal a certain amount of damage to the player when you hit them. Which you can't see yet because there is no health bar yet. Also, you bounce off perpendicular to them, which could also be used for trampolines and stuff later. For level design purposes I added this nice green cube here as well, which can be positioned in editing mode at any point and determines where the player is gonna be spawned. There are two things that need to be improved for sure. First of all, I'm not happy with the camera follow yet because sometimes the player falls out the screen when falling down too quickly. Also, when climbing up ropes, I want the player to face the rope. That's pretty much it for this video. In the next video I'm gonna show you how I implemented an item database and an inventory system. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Good night, I'm gonna sleep.